Is my yeah. Okay. Okay. Let us wait for 2 more minutes, and then we will start our class. So let us start our class. And yeah, so we are covering the concepts of JavaScript Advanced to Master. So yesterday we have covered about what is prototypes and what is actually classes and how it is working and everything. So today we're going to cover the balance thing in classes, classes inheritance. So how classes inheritance works and how the structuring the code of the classes, how the classes and everything will be working, and how we can able to use this inheritance concepts and everything. We're going to see it now. And one more thing we're going to discuss is all about scopes, and then we get into a little bit about ES6 concepts. Okay. Okay, so that's what we're going to see. Let me look into that, and yeah, we will get started. Okay. Yeah, this is where we left her with. If you have any doubts regarding previous classes, you can tell it in the chat box. I will okay, so we just work on that and we will do that. Okay, so yeah, so what we can do, that we do one thing. Yeah, this is what we have covered. What is classes and how classes is act as a syntactics to go, how classes work as a prototype, how this prototype and everything working, and how it's work on top of the prototype and everything we have discussed yesterday. So now what is the problem? We sorted out lots of problems, right? So today what we're going to do is we're going to discuss about what is the problem now we're going to have. So actually that is a not, these all are not so problem, little bit applications that we are working with, so we can still improve. There is an improvement factor that we can find out and we can work on that. So that is the thing. So what if a person need to create an exact prototype? Okay, so not cloning an object. Instead of that, he need to create exact prototype. Okay, so this prototype that we need to create it, okay, exactly like this. How can we do this? We copy paste it, and instead of create person we will create instead of this we will create employee like this. Here now the same problem is happened, right? So you can see the same constructor function with this dot name, this dot age, same repetition, everything is same, right? But then why I need to copy paste the same code again and again? So here comes the updations, right? So how can I stop this? Okay, so this is, you can able to achieve this thing with prototypal inheritance. Okay, so the exact same thing we have with objects, so that we solve it with classes. So now we're going to take out the classes, and we're going to see if someone want to create instances of objects for more than one times. So how can we solve this? So we can solve this by prototypal inheritance. Let me see how to create a prototypal inheritance. So what is meant by prototypal inheritance? In simple terms, we have a prototype and we are going to take all the methods and properties that are available for that prototype. We're going to take all the powers from the prototype and we're going to add some more extra if we wanted. Okay, we're going to add some more extra, and then we're going to create a whole set of prototype. And with the help of existing prototype, we're going to create a new prototype with some added. That's what it is. Okay, so let's see how can we create it. So for creating this, create class. Okay, here you need to tell what is the one thing that you're going to create. I just want to create person, not just going to create employee. Create employee is going to be my new prototype. And you need to tell that this prototype is coming from another inspiration of another prototype. So we're going to take that blueprint, right? So for that you need to use a keyword called extend. Here we need to tell from which prototype I'm extending this. Okay, so the prototype I'm extending this, which means I taken as this as my parent prototype. And if I call this is create prototype. So now what is going to happen with the help of this prototype? Okay, with the help of this prototype, we are creating another prototype, and this is going to create an object for us. Okay, okay. So let me do one thing. Same constructor method is common in all the things. And here you can tell what are the values that you want. So I'm just going to say name and age, and also I just want the experience of the person. And just say expert. And here the name and age is common, right? It's common. That is the code is already written. This dot age, this dot name, right? So we don't want to write it again. So to solve this, what we can do is we can use a default method called super. And here you can tell what are the method that you want to get, sorry, what are the properties that you want to get from your parent. So I just want my name and age, that is my this syntax, the prototype is already existed, the prototype code is already existent. I just want to copy this code here. And for experience, we don't have any default thing with parents, right? So I'm going to write it. This is a newer one. Okay. This got someone asked expert. Now let us create an object and look at how it is working. Okay, I'm just going to say const my first employee equal to, I'm just going to say new create employee and give the name, in the name like this. Here if I ask for console.log, what is the first employee? Let's check it in the browser. I click inspect, go for the console. You can see create employee. First employee is there. Let us give a refresh. You can see this is an object. You can see I don't pass it the third variable, so it is going to give me undefined. So because this is constructed, that's one thing that we need to know. Name and age is constructed without writing this dot name is equal to name, this dot age is equal to age. We are not returned that, but that is completed. How? Because we use this super method, and this super method is going to construct a method. So whatever the method that we are getting in the parent, it is going to get it here. Okay, that's the one thing. So now I need to give the experience. So the experience I just give 5 years as experience. If I give here, you can see we are getting it here. Now if I go inside, you can see we have age. Age is equal to 13. Experience is 5, and name is equal to Ali. And the prototype that is creating this object, it is create person. It is telling create person, but the prototype, that method that is constructed is create employee. So this is created here, and that prototype is created. You can see in constructed method we have create employee, and that prototype has an another constructed method. So this is an inheritance of an another prototype. That prototype is what here is. You can see it here. So because we are extending the prototype and we are occupying all these things. So because of this, what is the advantage that we have is we have access to the parent data and also parent functions, right? It's a method and data we can able to access it. For example, here you can see there is no detail function is there, right? But if I say first employee detail, okay, if I run this, you can see I am getting the first employee name. So how this detail is working? This is working because when I'm asking a method here, it is go inside the object and look for whether the method is available or not. Okay. If it is available, then it will take it. If it is not available, then it will go to the top of the chain. Okay. One step top of the chain and look into this, look into the prototype. Okay. So now this is the prototype. It's going to look into where it is created. So it will go to the top of the prototype and look into here. Here anything with the name of detail is available or not. Like that it is going to look into. So here is also not available. Then what happened? Again it go for again the next top of the prototype. So this is created from the prototype of this. So it is will go here, and here it founds the method detail. It is asking for, hey, you have any detail method? Yes, I'm having detail method. Okay, so you are free to use this detail. And it is UV, though because we use the this keyword, it is dynamic. It is going to takes the name that is given in the object. So where the place where it is declared, based on that the value is taken, so that this keyword is going to take place the value. Clear? So that's what happening here. And if it is still not available, then it will go for the top prototype. That's what the default objects it will go for it. Okay. So that is how each and every object in JavaScript is working. If you are asking for any method, what is happening? What will happen? So it simply first check it whether it is available in his local environment or not. If it is not available, go for the top prototype, the next type, like that it will go and it will ask for it. And if he finds anything, then it is going to tell us for us. Okay, so this is what prototypal inheritance. And one more thing, again I want to tell you this: what is prototypal inheritance, what is prototype. So what is classes? So classes is basically an syntactic sugar for this prototype. It is not an actual thing in JavaScript. Remember that. And classes inheritance or syntactic sugar of prototypal inheritance. So we can able to achieve this prototypal inheritance without using classes also. That is the core functionality. But that syntax is much more weird. We need to use this kind of, you can see dash dash prompt dash dash like this. We need to use some default proto methods to work with that. Okay, so that is why we don't use that one. So classes are super syntax, like it is reduce the syntax and super cool to use it, so we can use that feel freely. Okay, so that's what it is. This is all about prototypal inheritance and prototype. So now the next concept is going to be, what is scope? So scope is nothing but whenever we are writing a function or a variable. So everything in a language is going to be either a function or a variable, either a data or a behavior of the data. So it's going to be two things. It is going to handle it. So basically, if I write, okay, if I write something where I can able to access the data and where I can able to access the function. That's what actually scope is: accessing your variable and your function. Okay, accessing your variable and function depends upon where you are declared. And JavaScript, it follows called lexical scoping. Lexical scoping. So this is the one that followed in JavaScript. Okay, lexical scoping is the one that is followed in JavaScript. So what is meant by lexical scoping is based upon based upon where the variables or a function is declared, which means created. Based upon that, their accessibility is determined. Their accessibility is determined. So what is meant by that? Based upon where you are creating a variable, where you are declaring a variable. For example, inside a function, inside a block, a global scope, based upon where you are creating it. So based upon that only, whether we can tell that you can access the variable here or we can access the variable there, or like that, we can able to access it. Okay, so that's the thing. And there are another also that is called as dynamic scope. Remember that JavaScript, everything in JavaScript follows lexical scope, variables, functions, and everything. It's all lexically scope, except to one thing. That is the this keyword. This keyword is the keyword. Keyword is the keyword. It is not lexically scoped. It is dynamically scoped, which means it's right opposite to it. What is meant by that means, well, for example, based upon where they declared, it's not a matter. Where they are called, where they are invoked, based upon that, their scope is determined. Okay, so their accessibility is determined. Okay, so we will come to the dynamic scoping later. So let me go into see about lexical scoping. So based upon the it's like this definition, we can understand one thing. So we need to know which all are the place that I can able to declare the variable. If I know that, then I can know that which all are the place I can able to access those values, right? So there are actually three places you can able to declare a variable. One is global space, that is called as global scope, and another one is functional scope or a local scope, function or local. That is the second one. The third one is going to be the block level scope. These are the three things. Okay. So if you declared in a global scope, where are the place that I can able to access a variable. If you declare it in a function, where are the place which are the place that I can able to access it. If you declare it in a block level, which are the place I can able to access it. Okay, so that's what the concept is, scoping. Okay? So let's see what is global scope. Global scope is nothing but you are creating a variable simply like this. For example, let a equal to 10. This is a global scope. Global scope is like literally we are getting into the document and we are typing something, creating a variable, right? So in a document that we are creating outside the function and outside the block, it is considered as a global scope. So if a variable is in global scope, so where I can able to access it? It is like a public Wi-Fi. An example. Anyone can connect it and anyone can use it. Same like that, anyone can use it. For example, three places. One is global space, another one is variable inside a function. Okay, so this is a function, and the third one is a block. Okay, for example, this is a block is nothing but anything that is wrapped inside the curly braces, right? That is considered as a block. Okay, so this is a block. So these are all the three spaces. This is global scope, this is function, and this is considered as a function scope, and this inside is block level scope. And block may be anything, not only if class. You can use loops, you can use a normal block, anything that you can use it, it is considered as a block only. Okay, yeah, yeah, okay, so that's what it is. So this is what block level, these are the three places. Okay, so if it is a global scope, it's like by public Wi-Fi, like anywhere you can able to access it. For example, if I accessing the variable outside here, console.log a, giving a comma, and I'm telling outside, asking for it, you can see we can able to access the variable. The same, if I try to access the global scope inside this particular function, still it is accessible. What's up? Okay, we need to execute the function scope variable. See, we can able to access the function also. It is not throwing any error. It is not blocking anything. So if a variable is in global scope, we can able to access it globally, and also inside function also you can able to access it, and also inside block level also you can able to access it. See, you can able to access it. So a global scope is entirely accessible in all this place. Okay, inside a function, outside a function, inside a block, outside the block, global, anywhere you can able to access it. There is advantage and there is a lot of disadvantages also there. We will cover that later. Okay, so first of all, this is done. Okay, so this is done. So the next one is going to be, what if a variable is created inside a function. Okay, I'm going to create this one inside a function. So now this variable is considered as a function scope or locally scoped variable. Local scoped variable. The same test we need to find it, whether I can able to access inside the function, outside the function, inside the block. That's what it is. Okay. So here I'm asking for console.log. I'm asking for it. We are getting 10, which means if a variable is created inside, if a variable is created inside a function, it is accessible inside that function. Oh, fine. So what is the next thing? we need to check it whether the variable is accessible outside the function, which means global space, we can able to access it or not. Okay. I'm trying to access it here. As for it, you can see what we are getting. We are getting an error called reference error A is not defined. So what is meant by that? Which means this variable, I'm not able to access it outside the function. In globally, I'm not able to access it, but in global variable, we can able to access it anywhere. But here I'm not able to access it. So that is what local scope. So when I create a variable inside a function, so that variable is accessible only inside that particular function. We are not able to access it outside. It is like a private Wi-Fi, like a particular person inside that space can access, not anyone outside the world access it. So that is like a public platform, like anyone can use it. But this is like a private space, okay, like this. Same like this, a block level also. If you create, so you can see if I try to access this variable inside the block level, we get the error. Okay. Same thing if we started to do get a variable inside a block, that is considered as a block level scope. So if I try to access it inside the block, it is accessible, but outside the block, it will not accessible. You can see the reference error, and you cannot access a variable inside the function also. It will throw a reference error. So this is how it will work. But here you need to notice one thing: three types of scope: local scope, global scope, function scope, right? And global scope is accessible anywhere entirely in the document. Function scope, whatever we are creating, it is accessible only inside the function. Block level scope is accessible only inside the block. We cannot access it, right? But here you need to see another concept also: the difference between var and let and then const, or const, anything. Okay. So whenever you are creating a variable with let and const, they have block level scope. But var keyword variable with var keyword, does it have a block level scope? So if you create a variable with var keyword inside a block level, it is considered, it will treat that variable as global scope only. For example, you can see it is, this variable is inside the function, inside the block, and if I try to access the variable outside the block, you can see what we are getting: uncaught reference error, A is not defined. We are not able to access the value. This is what we are getting. But that is what we actually needed. The reason why I'm creating a variable inside a block is because that variable, it's specifically for that block. I don't want it outside. But when I use the var keyword and if I save it, you can see we can able to access it. So what is happening here? Well, var does not have a block level scope. So it treats that variable. If you create a var variable with inside a block, it is still considered it as a global variable. You can access it anywhere in the document. Okay, so that's what happens, and that's the one issue that we all having in the var. That's why we are not using. But it is there is an advantages in using var, and there is also a disadvantages in using var. That is, the advantages is whenever we are working with the, like, more core concepts, and that time it will be useful during hoisting time, and during more in-depth concepts. If we want to use it, the var keyword is useful. But the normal use cases, for if you want to create an application and if you want to share anything like that, it will not use it. Okay, so that's why the communities are start avoiding var and they go with let and const, much more feasible. But var keyword also useful in some cases whenever we want to use it. Okay, so this is the difference. Var does not have it. Okay, so that's what it is. So now we get into another thing. Another thing is, what we're going to see is where this variable is created. So in the last class, I said that Windows object, a global object, whenever we are creating something, all goes into Windows object, right? Windows object. And if it is in global variable, then only we can able to access it. Let me explain how this block level and this global scopes are determined. Okay, I just remove this one. I put in the global scope. And if I save it, right click. If I ask for Windows here, Windows functionality, and if I ask for Windows, you can see this object is here. this object. I want this object. If I click it here, you can able to see the variable A. Variable A, right? So it is globally created. And also you can able to see the scope variable, right? So this functions is also created bottom somewhere in the space MNOPQ or S here. Scope variable here. You can see the function is also created. Everything, the functions and variables stored inside this Windows object. And whatever we are creating, if it is available in Windows object, it is globally accessible. You can access it anywhere. But when I create the variable with let keyword, okay, what will happen as for Windows here, Windows object, as per it, you can see the A variable is not inside this Windows object. A variable is not here. So where it is created is, it is created in a separate space. That space is called as the block. So where I can see it is, let us go for the shows and think let I remove this one. Create a file, and if I say var a equal to 10 here, okay, and if I save it here, and what we can do, if I ask it on the here, if I ask console.log a, ask it here, and here if I press enter, sorry, save it. Let me do one thing. Where is the file? Let me cover off this. Okay. And now if I run this one, okay, we are getting A, right? So let me put a debugger and stop this one. Stop the JavaScript to execute. We don't care about these things at all. Okay. Now I just go and start to execute. You can see I put a debugger, so it is going to, it is the execution is stopped. The place where I put the debugger, we going to control the flow of JavaScript. Okay. So now you can see that a debugger is here. JavaScript is not read any variable. You can able to see the global scope is there. Okay. So initially JavaScript is not yet read the code, but you can able to see var a is equal to 10 because the code is already run. That's why. Let me do one thing. Let I comment of this one. Refresh this one. Okay. And it again. And if I run it. Now let us go for the global scope. You can see. So initially this is the space. So before JavaScript start to executing, what will happen is a default behavior is happen whenever we create a variable with var keyword, it will takes up the value and it will stores undefined into it. Actually, this concept is called as hoisting. We will discuss that one much more deeper. Okay. But understand that when I create a variable with var keyword, what is happening? It is goes inside a global, which means the Windows object. Global object is the Windows object. Okay. So it is go inside that and it is storing it. Okay. So now if I just say here inside the global, you can able to see, if I go one more steps down inside the global, you can able to see we having the a equal to 10. The same thing what I going to do, I just going to complete this process. I say let, again if I'm going to run it, I just going to cut it down, cancel it down. Okay, sorry. And yeah, let us give a refresh. Add this down. Now with let keyword, I'm going to add it. And if I run the same code, you can able to see inside the global object, the a variable is not created. It is not in the Windows object. It is in a separate place called script. And this place is called as the block. Okay, it is created in a separate place. And here you can see still this undefined is there. When JavaScript reads the next line of code, then it will convert the a variable into the value that it contains. Okay, so The script is the place a block level. So whenever we are creating a variable let and const, it will not store the value in the global object. It will store it in the on a special place called script. Okay, inside that script only it will be available. So that is why we cannot access it. Okay, we cannot access it when it is in block level. But in global, whenever we are creating it globally, it is accessible anywhere. Function is whole different cases. Whenever you are creating a variable inside a function, that is accessible inside a function. That is the default behavior of a function. Okay. So this is what it is. And the concept of hoisting, we're going to see a lot more, and that's going to be that's the use of wholesome idea for everything. Okay, in JavaScript. Okay, we will discuss that later. We have done with scopes also. Okay, let me close it. Go for the console. Okay, and cut it down. Leave this. Remove this. Remove. Go for the console. Yeah, everything is fine. So this is what all about scopes. Scope is basically JavaScript follows lexical scoping, which means based upon where they declared, where they are created, their accessibility is determined. So there are three places we can able to create a variable, declare a variable: global scope, function scope, and block level scope. And if you create it in a global scope, it is accessible in everywhere. And if you create it in a function, it will be accessible only inside the function. If you create it in a if class, then it is accessible only inside the if, like not if class, block level. Okay, it is accessible. But whenever you are using war keyword, the block level scope is not that, so it is treated that whole value as a this one. Okay, so that's what the scope is all about. Okay, and the difference between war and what we're going to discuss is going to be, we're going to discuss about, we see this keyword, this keyword. Because it is a continuous concept that comes here. So why this keyword is? Because this keyword is something, the one and only keyword that is not comes under the concept of lexical scoping. All other than is in JavaScript is a lexically scoped. But this keyword is only dynamically scoped. So what is meant by dynamically scoped? So dynamically scoped means based upon where they created. Okay, so their scope is determined. That is lexically scoped. But dynamic scope is where they are created, it's not matter. Where they are called, where they are invoked. So based on that, their scope is determined. For example, remember the sentence, what I'm going to say you. Okay. So this keyword is always refers an object, always refers to an object that the function is property of. Okay. So this is the sentence. So what is meant by that? So if I mentioned this, it's like a substitute for an object. Okay. Which object? A function that property of, which means, for example, I create an object called obj, and inside this object, I'm creating a function dtype. This is going to be a function. Okay. So what the statement is saying means this. This keyword always refers to an object that the function is property of. So a keyword inside this keyword inside a function, okay, it always refers to the object that the function, where the function is property of. So this refers to that object. Okay, so that's what the reference is all about. Okay, so that's what the reference thing is all about. Okay, so this this keyword is varies place to place. Why? So let I say, what is this keyword? This is a dynamic keyword, which means where they are created, where they are, though because it is inside a function, it is not refers to an object. Okay, where it is called. Okay, based on that, their scope is determined. For example, if I want to access this, how we will access it? I want to say obj dot b type is the function, and I will run it. And it is going to return this for me, right? That's what it will do. Now look into this. That this keyword is invoked here inside this function. Okay. Now look into the statement. This always refers to an object that the function is property of. So what is happening? That this keyword is here. The function is property of an object called obj. So that this refers to the obj. So if I console log it, we will get the entire object. That's it. Log. And if I ask for what is this, you can able to see we are getting the entire object. For naming converts, I will give the name. See, it is returning the whole object. So this always, so a shorthand you want to remember what this refers to means. If it is inside a function, the function, you can see this dot, right? So this always refers to the object that comes next to this dot. You can remember that as a short form. Okay. So with an object that comes next to this dot, this refers to that one. So here obj is comes next to this dot. So here it will come. That's what the statement is also telling. Okay. So it always refers to an object that the function is property of. So we can remember like this. Okay. So now let us consider. If I created a function, normal function, and if I say get hello, okay, and here inside it is not inside an object. Okay. If I say return this, now what will happen? Because here obj is calling, the detail is there. So this refers to which comes before the dot, the object that comes before dot, right? So it will refers to that. So we can easily determine this one. So what will happen for this function? A normal global function is there. And if I ask to return this, what will happen? What it is going to return? Let me see what it is going to return. If I say console.log and if I say get hello, here if I declare here, you can see nothing. There is no dot here. There is no object before here. So if I declare it here, it is returning me Windows object. Why? Because I already mentioned that whatever you are creating a declare a function variable, everything will go inside this Windows object. So now if you writing this, you are writing something like this. Okay, windows dot get hello. So because inside this Windows object only you are receiving the, you can able to see the get hello by 𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿 or ST. Here get hello, get hello. You can see our function is here. So this is going to refer to the object that comes before this dot, right? So that get, it is refers to the Windows object. And also if you declare it in a global variable, if you say let a equal to this, if I ask for console.log, what is a? And I just comment of this one. See, it refers to this Windows object only. And now you can ask me like, okay, so now it is not in this. Okay, now it is not in this. This a variable is not, because we are created with the let keyword, right? So, but then why it is accessible? Why it is giving the global thing? Actually, it was inside. It is not inside the global object. Okay, it has created a separate block. That block is specifically for determining the scoping concept. Okay, so there are four places that this keyword is there. One is normal function. It will return the global object. If you declare this keyword inside a variable, a global variable, then still it is going to determine. It is going to refer to this Windows object. If it is inside an object, then it is refers to that particular object. So that's the case. And what is the fourth case is? The fourth case is going to be inside an event listener. Okay? If you use an event listener, if you use this keyword inside it means, then this keyword refers to the particular element. Okay, so which is invoking that one, it is going to refer to that. Okay? It is going to refer to that. Okay, for example, how I can check that, I just going to create a div, and that is going to contain a button. Okay, I just say click. Same, I'm just going to create it here. Just going to say class is going to be 1 and 1 like this. Here what I'm giving, I just give the k plus 1, the number 2 like this. There are two elements is there. So this keyword inside an event listener refers to the element. Okay. So now what I'm going to do, I need to add an event listener to this. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I just going to get the element by with the help of classes. So just going to say const btn equal to document dot get. Sorry, we can use the query selector all, and I just want to select the one class. Okay. I just want to check it whether I'm getting the two buttons, two btn or not. Okay. Yes, we are getting the two btn. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to, with the help of loop, I'm going to add an event listener. Okay, with the help of loop, I'm going to add an event listener. Okay, just a minute. I'll explain. Okay, so what I'm going to do, we have this one. I just say btn dot for each. Okay. Here, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to run a function. That function is going to execute, and it is going to take up the value btn. That is going to be each and every button. Okay, btn dot add event listener, and this is going to add. If someone clicks it, a function, that function is going to be console.log. It is going to return this for us. Console.log. It is going to return this. Okay. Now what I going to what I did is I fetched the element, two element, and I added an event listener with the help of for each iterator. I added an element, and now if someone clicks the button for any two button, okay, so the event is going to invoke, and I'm going to understand what I am getting in with the help of this. This is refers to an event listener. What I'm going to do. If I click it, you can see what I'm getting. I clicked the first button. It is returning me the first button. You can see this console log. I'm asked to return this keyword, right? What it is returning? It returning me the element that I clicked. If I click the second button, you can see I'm getting the second, the one that I clicked it, second one that I clicked it. So what is happening here? So simply what is happening here is this inside an event listener refers to the element. Okay, refers to the element. This inside an event listener refers to the particular element, okay, which having the event listener. So here, if I click this one, the event listener for this button is invoked. That this refers to that element. So if I ask, for example, I can say this dot inner HTML, okay, inner HTML equal to, and here I can say that thank you. And if I click this one, you can see that particular element button is changed to thank you. And if I click this one, that particular element changed to. So what is this referring to? So this referring to the element that having that invoking the event listener. Okay. So this refers to that object. So these are the four places actually that this we will use it. Okay. So the place inside object, if it is inside a method, it refers to that object. Global function, Windows object, global variable, Windows object, inside an event listener, the element that having that event listener. These are the four places. Yeah, this is all about this keyword. No more confusion and no more complication. And we have some this methods. Okay, so like apply, call, bind methods, and that will help us to basically to borrow some functions with borrow some function from one object to another. Like that, we will use that one. Pretty advanced. That we will cover it later if we have time in the upcoming classes. Okay. Yeah, that's all right. The next thing that we what we're going to discuss is going to discuss about two things. The two things are one is or the first one is going to be the template literal that is also comes under ES6, and also we have iterators, this for each map and everything that also we need to discuss. We will discuss it in the upcoming classes. Template literals and another one is ternary operator. We will use these two things a lot in React. Template literal is basically a good way to work with the strings. So basically, how it work means, for example, if I say const a equal to hello, okay, this is string. How we will write? We will write like this, right? And const e equal to, if I want to concatenate it, how we will do this? Console.log a plus give a space again plus B. Right? So this is what we will write it and do get a decent console log, right? So what if we want to so this kind of things, it will be also very difficult when we are working with vanilla JavaScript. We need to write a set of block of HTML element to return into a code. It will be difficult, right? So during this time, instead of using this single quotes and double quotes, and also there is a problem. If you use a single quotes inside a single quotes, it will throw you an error, unbreaking error. And you need to use slash and something that you need to ignore those things. So those are our outdated one. To avoid these things, you can go with template literals. Template literals not only for string concatenation, it will help in DOM operation. It will useful in writing JavaScript inside an HTML code. It is going to be really helpful when you are working with React JS, the same code. Okay. So how we can able to work with template literal is, for example, if I want to create a variable list, if I want to create a console.log, we can use the backticks. We can able to find the button backticks above the tab icon. Okay. So above the tab icon, it will be that little slash single quotation. Okay. And here I can say hello world like this. If you want to give a space, you want to use the plus operator one more time again and again. You just use this space and it will come. And here, hello world, this new program like this. So we can write like this, and it will automatically add the white space and everything. And even though if you want to run any JavaScript code, you can run it inside this one. Give a dollar sign and square bracket, you can do any JavaScript code inside this. For example, I ask an operator multiply 6 into 67. You will get, so this is a program, this is a new program, and we are getting is 407. Okay, so that is the code that we are working with, and you can see whatever you can fetch the variable dynamically, and you can add anything, and it will be really helpful in DOM operation. If you're not familiar with how the DOM operation is working, with the template literals in the previous class, in I think Saturday class, I have covered an application we have created. You can see that we used the template literal, how to create it. Have a look into that. Okay, so this is what that one. And what is ternary operator? Ternary operator is basically an alternative way for if-else classes. For example, if I say if, and if I say it is true, it is true. Okay? If it is true, what we need to do, we need to write something in the console, and I say that this is true. Alright. And if it is false, else, then what I want to do in the console.log, I need to say false. Like this, we need to tell it, right? So if I make this statement as false, okay, we will get this. Right? This is what we will do it. So this is a word school one. If you want to do the same thing in a single line, okay, then what you can do is you can use the ternary operator. And this operator is used in React, and mostly we will use this ternary operator. We don't use this if-else classes because there is a clash between the JSX syntax with the JavaScript. So that is why ternary operator is helpful. So how ternary operator will work means, whatever the condition that you want to tell, you can tell it here. And if the condition is true, you need to use this question mark. If the condition is true, the following code will be executed. For example, hello world. Okay. And if the condition is false, then next upcoming code will be executed. For example, instead of hello world, I say that okay, it is true. The statement is true. Hello world will be executed. The statement is false. Bye will be executed. So let me add this in the console.log to check whether the code is working properly or not. See, we are getting right. So if it is true, this will be executed. If it is false, this is going to execute. So I'm going to tell 5 is greater than 7. It is false. So what we are getting? We are getting by. Okay. If we say 5 is less than 7, we are getting hello world. So this is how the ternary operator will work, and this is the most common syntax for React JS. Okay, you will get this syntax most common in React JS. Okay, so yeah, that's all for this class. Okay. We have covered a lot of concepts in year 6 and everything. So there are a lot more is there. In days, I think tomorrow no classes will be there. In day 18, we're going to cover about iterators, and we're going to cover about destructuring. We're going to cover a lot. The upcoming classes, we're going to cover it. And once the year 6 concept will done, we will jump into immediate invoking function, closures, and hoisting. Those things will cover either it in 18 or 19. Okay. So let me share you the attendance form. If you have any doubts, you can ask me now. You have a lot more time here. So if you have any doubts, you can ask me now. Okay. Let I share you the attendance form. Okay. Please be in the line. So the attendance form is shared in the chat box. So if you like to fill this attendance form, fill it. The live will be there for 5 minutes. If you have any other doubts, you can ask. Okay. So yeah, if you have any other doubts, you can ask me. Okay, guys, thank you. Thank you so much for this. And please fill the attendance form if you want to the certificates. Then we continue that. Okay. So see you in the next class. Bye.